Does anyone have or has anyone had any spiritual experiences, please?
Yes.
I have one.
I'll share one.
I have one.
Okay, my brother, would you please allow the sister to go first, and then we'll come back to you?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sis. People, share your experience, please. Keeper.
Go back.
Right back, sis. Would you share your experience, please? Hey, come help us.
Well, I know it's a couple of days ago. I got a text from you saying that Moon came to me.
Who am I speaking to?
Attached.
Katat. Oh, hi. How you doing? Yeah. Go ahead with your experience.
Yeah, so a couple of days ago, actually, it was like 2 nights in a row. I had a dream about you guys, you and Hotep and Amun. And then on the second day is when I got that text from you saying that Amun said he came to me and it was no dream.
That's right.
Exactly.
I came to quite a few people. Did you remember anything?
All I remember is just being there, hanging out in the room with you guys like we were a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that was me. I had come to you. I was powerful too.
It's Tawakum.
I came healing and blessing. Yeah, did you get a chance to get that play all button on those apps? You did such a wonderful job on YouTube.
Well, like I said, I can't really tell from the phone. I'm using the phone, so I can't really. It's different on the phone. I'm not sure how it looks on the screen, but it should be on the screen. Once you go to the videos tab of the page, you should have that option to play all, but it's different on the phone.
It's not up there anymore. And I don't know who changed the link. Somebody had changed it, put the wrong link on there again. Put the wrong link on there, right?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Somebody found this lead people. There's a demon tampering with stuff in the computer for sure.
Hey, I got
somebody did change the link, right, Katat?
I don't know how someone could change the link. They can't just change the link unless they change a letter or two in the link. But that's not the link that I gave you, so I don't know where that link came from.
So the link's been changed then? Somebody's altered.
Like I said, I don't know what the link came from. The link I sent you today was the link, or yesterday. That's the link that...
You have to know quite a bit about computers to do that then, huh? All right, now what is that next spiritual experience they'd like to share with us? Please check that out, because I need to play those classes all night, like I usually do, Katat.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have one.
Okay, very good. I came to you
Go
too.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. The brother can go because he was waiting.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, mine is quick. For the Feast of Gratitude or Thanksgiving Day, as some may address it, I was at my sister's and visiting with family. There were multiple family members there who I hadn't seen for a while, and I was in the kitchen with my sister who was preparing the meal, and I was just standing talking to her, and I told her, I said, I smell something burning. And I said, do you smell it? And she looked at me, she says, no, I don't smell anything. And so we went ahead and we were talking and visiting, and we moved from the kitchen over to the dining area, and we were sitting down, and maybe like...
It was electrical?
10 minutes... I'm sorry?
It was electrical?
No, it was in the oven. It was in the oven.
Okay.
And so my niece's husband came in, and he opened up the oven. He said that something was in the oven. It had burnt. It had burnt like crisp black burnt. But I was like, how could I possibly have heard or known that? And it was maybe like a 15 or 20 minutes lapse there that I like smelt it in advance of it happening. It was really weird.
I follow you.
But that was, it
you
was
jump
like
in
I
dimensions.
jumped. Yes, and I was there, and I smelled it ahead of time or whatever. I was like, there's something, and everybody was like, no, nobody, including him. No, nothing's burning. Nothing's burning. Everything's okay. And then
you all are beginning to understand what these higher senses are advantages for you, because you know things that other people, you perceive things other people can't perceive. You follow me?
Exactly.
It gives you an advantage.
Also, to add to that, I've been having a lot of conversations with my higher self when at times and points I would like try and argue and show my point of view to say, well, no, this is actually what's happening. I just get quiet. The higher self is just,
that's growth. I love you.
Exactly. Just be quiet. You don't have to, this is not for you to argue this point. Just be quiet. And that's what I've been doing. And then it turns around that the person eventually comes out and sees that what they're saying or
is wrong.
Trying to make is invalid. Exactly.
Right. That's growth right there. I love you for that, sister. I'm really happy to hear that.
Thank you. I'm happy as well, Amun.
All right. That's a sign of growth. All right. Who here remembers me coming to him or having on Tuesday night?
I do.
Okay. Let me hear it. One person at a time.
Well, this is Ivory.
I do.
Okay.
And this happened a few days ago. And I was on the game, and I was talking to one of the brothers, and I was explaining. I don't know what subject we were talking about, but it was just information.
Slow down now. Slow down. Slow down and clear up.
We're speaking about like information in general, and it was very.
I don't understand the words you're saying. They're running together.
I said we're talking about information, like speaking about like Nuwapic and like the teachers, the doctrine.
Okay.
And then it's like 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. That's
speaking.
About when it was.
Yes, and I'm speaking, and this feeling is so great, it stops me from speaking. And so the feeling it's like a rush, like a push or a cold wind, feels like. And then it feels like my hands are like upside down, flipped inside out. And then it feels like everything in my body is like reversed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so confused and it felt like I was dreaming while being up.
No. That's what I was trying to tell you all. It wasn't a dream. I went quite a few places. I went to Yanun, and I went to those different planets and crafts. I went to a lot of. I was busy that night, all night. In fact, I'm still a little drained because. Okay, go ahead.
This is Annunaqi. I want to share about my experience with the Messiah as well. And my experience was I was already awake as I am usually that time of morning. And a while ago he told us to put a string on our ceiling and use your mind to move it. So I have my string there. I had it there for a while. And from time to time, it will move on its own minimally, very slightly. But Tuesday night, I don't know what made me look up, but all of a sudden that string started moving back erratically, real fast. And I caught the scent of the Messiah. And I could feel him in my room. I could feel his essence.
Right.
It was really strong. And I just said out loud, I know you hear Amun.
That's right, I was there. And it was strong.
Yes. That was my experience when he came to visit me. Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
And it was another sister that felt my presence. Or was it a brother? Well, if you all recall, I used to do things like this very frequently, but we go through phases on a spiritual tip. So I want to let you all know that I'm going to start delving into that a lot more. And that next day when I woke up, when I was taking a little short walk, I had a strong sense that my spiritual efforts and energy were so powerful that night that I had actually shifted and changed heaven and earth. And that the sun was different. And then we went out. We went to the gym and then we went someplace else and it was dark. And when we came out, I just looked to the sky and I saw my sign there, the one that I saw, the Star and Crescent last night when I first met Annunaqi here in the flesh, this time on Earth, in 1981 in Brooklyn. And it was the only thing in the sky against the inky blackness of the sky. That was just the ring that I wear, right? The symbol of the 144,000. So, and there's some other wonderful things happened that day that the people here can testify to. But Katat and Ptah, they were here when that symbol was in the sky. Ptah, do you remember? I know, Katat, you remember seeing that when we were walking from the supermarket that night?
Yeah, Jupiter aligned with Mars and all of that. And the brother from the supermarket.
Yeah, the alignment and all that. Yeah, that's right. And Malachi was... You saw it? Okay, very good, very good. What was your experience with it? What did it look like to you?
It was just, I can't, it was like it was close but not close. And I saw the star, like they were so bright. It was just beautiful. It was like, I kept running outside looking at it. It was beautiful.
You could see it was a sign, right?
Yeah.
There'll be signs and wonders in the sky. That's right. There will be signs and wonders. And that was one of them.
It was different.
I don't know if it's out tonight or not, but we'll see.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I didn't see the star by it. Yeah.
You see, that's the sign. You see, that was the sign. But usually those signs are hanging right over my house to mark, Jerusalem, or the house of flesh. The place on the planet Earth where his word is made flesh. That's right. That's where the Messiah resides. All right, now, who has that first question you'd like to ask in this Q&A class? Mr. Brother Will, are you here tonight? Kufu, is he here?
I have a question.
Very good.
Roll back, family.
Why don't you text him, Kufu? Okay.
Hey, roll back.
What's your question?
My question is, how was Marduk able to do disagreeable acts and then still be in that position? Because I've seen it from the life book.
How was who? Wait a minute, you got to be clear with your words, son.
How was Marduk, the son of Enki, able to do disagreeable acts and then be in the position he's in?
power.
All right. So what it is, you've been reading the Lost Book of Enki, huh?
Right.
Right? And you've been reading deep in it. What he's talking about, making reference to, family, is a man, a scholar, archaeological scholar named Zachariah Sitchin, that dedicated his lifetime to translating cuneiform tablets. And his first book was a bestseller called Chariot of the Gods. And he took those Sumerian tablets of the Annunaqi, and he finally broke the code and translated, like many others are doing now, so that we could. Now I'll tell you the purpose of that. It's because everybody's trying to figure out the puzzle of what happened, so that they can figure out what's going on now and what will happen in the future. And you call it Kwabar or fate or destiny. But what I want us to do, and I think it's emphatically important, is to make sure we start examining the subject from the other end of it. In other words, from the ones that commissioned the project here on Earth, Blue Rock. I want to get it from the side of the watchers, the fallen angels, right? And from the angels that maintain the ether vapors, the ones that created man, right? That's very important, because I think what it is that when the story is narrated by other people that are involved in the project, that many times they have a dog in the hunt and they'll bend reality, especially on the earth side, to fit their narrative, you understand? Or make them look good, or make them come out to be heroic. A good example is what Zarbi is saying right now, is that Murder or Panabab Yanun, in reality, as narrated by his father, Enki, that Murdoch was quite a scoundrel. And he did a lot of horrible, terrible things, and he was locked up for this, that, and the other. And so his question is to me, right now, how is it that Murdoch was doing all these ugly things and he still maintained his position, you know, as far as his rank in the Elohim or the Annunaqi? I'll try to explain it to you like this. All is all, right? So, Zabi, do you think that all, within all, you have all good and no evil, or do you have all in all?
All in all?
That's right. So that means that evil does exist, even to the point you can put a D in front of it, right? But you have to understand that there is balance. We have laws in the heavens, right? Angels have laws. It's called legency. Here on earth, you all have laws. We're ruled by legency. And when you cross certain lines, there are consequences, just like there are for mortals. In fact, as you were reading, you found out that when Judgment Day comes, and it's sure breathing down our necks, that the angels were going to be judged just like mortals. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
That's right. So angels and mortals are being judged. So I hope you all listened to me and went and got that book. Of course, I had sent the PDF out for y'all months and months ago, the link, for you to read it on computers, but I wanted you all to obtain the book, actually, the paperback book, so you can have it as a private possession, personal possession, and take the time to go through it. And I guarantee the fog will lift and the air will clear for a lot of the questions that you might be harboring, right?
What book is that,
The Lost Book of Enki by Zachariah Sitchin. You got my post, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you get a chance to propagate it, put it out to everybody?
Yes. That was quite couple of months ago, though, wasn't it?
No. I send you posts at least twice a week.
No, what I'm saying, the one about Inky.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I wanted you all to get the book. I wanted you all to get the book this time, sister. I came to you too. I came to you Tuesday night. Did you send a present?
Did you send a link for the book where we can get it?
Not this time, but I'll resend it. Let me ask you, did you feel my presence Tuesday night in London?
Tuesday.
I come to some people and they don't know how to interpret the visitation. Most people think it's a dream. Some people think I'm talking on the telephone to them. Some people just experience a lot of energy and lights, or just yeah, that was me.
The light.
I came to you. Yes. In fact, I showed myself in the heavens, and I grew so big and powerful that I consumed all visible space in creation. And in addition to healing and blessing people, I was putting out a stern warning to devils and mortals that I'm going to start coming and taxing that back. So be good.
Yes. My understanding, Amun, that in that murder took over from Inky, his father.
Okay, say it again. Inky is Murdoch's father.
Yes, my understanding, I'm not sure if I got it right, by Murdoch, he took over from his father with rulership.
Well,
and that
Inky has rulership over the earth, and Enlil has rulership over the skies. And Murdoch is...
But I thought, who is he rulership over? Because I thought he took over from his father.
Well, that's what I want. Those are the kind of knotty points we're going to go through the book and clear up, okay? And I'm glad that you're here now, because I know we had a class, and you were asking me quite a few questions. And as I listened to the class, I rewound the class. There were a lot of things that I said that were incorrect in their order, right? Like you asked me, did they create the Lulu Avenue before that there were human beings on Earth? And the answer is there were people on Earth when they were cast down. It wasn't the reverse order. Yeah, so the Adamite was only created about 6,000 years ago.
Yes. So that means because with the revolt with the Igigi, that they decided to get other workers because they didn't. They got rid of the Igigi because they weren't. They were rebelling, so they made the Adamite after. Is that right?
That's right. They created the Adamite as a result of the rebellion. So what the sister is saying is that Enki came down and he maneuvered after Elenu through the hammered bracelet or the asteroid belt and worked his way down to the planet Earth. And they set up places here for the digging, and Enki set up a place in South America called Enki's Gold Mines. You can look this up. Enki's Gold Mine. Michael Tallinger. Or you can look up Michael Tallinger and Enki's Gold Mines, and you can get informed about that subject quite thoroughly. It was a large settlement, larger than the geography of Los Angeles, which is a very spread out city in California. But the reason why they yes.
So he had a gold mine after South Africa.
Yes, in South Africa, Enki did.
Yeah.
Write down Michael Tallinger. Michael Tallinger.
Yeah, Michael Tallinger. I've heard about him actually.
Well, you need to research it because you have questions about that period.
Yeah, I will do.
Yeah, but see, the Annunaqi at first, they were the ones that were digging mining for the gold that they needed so they could refine it and powder it and sprinkle it in the atmosphere over their planet. That the atmosphere had been ruptured by a plutonium bomb that was let off by a very disagreeable being that they invited into their society named Tarnush. That they flew to the planet Pluto and got this plutonium ore and created a bomb that they released in the atmosphere. And when they did, it opened up the ozone layer so that the rays from the tri-solar system, the three suns that were there, could reach the surface of the planet, make it unbearable for people to live. And that's why the Riskians and the Anunnaki had to migrate away from the great Riskian empire and scatter out all over the world. And of course, some of them went underground. And I read that story to you all about the planet Risk as well. But that's how we got spread out all over the cosmos, on planet Mars, Rio Sylvia, and the Orion, and many places, right? And so when they came to Earth, they were all in search of the nube, N-U-B, that you all call gold, because it has very special properties, right? It's a metal that never tarnishes. It always maintains its luster and its shine, which was very important because when they powder it and sprinkle it in their atmosphere, they wanted to be so light that it wouldn't be affected by gravity and it would maintain its height. And so they keep piling it on until it became like a Band-Aid over the hole in the atmosphere. And the properties that gold shines will reflect the intense solar rays back out into space and away from the planet to allow the surface to start cooling off so that they can return home again safely without the ultraviolet radiation like you have right now on your planet Earth over the continent of Australia. Okay? But
yes,
the thing is, it's not as intense on Earth because you only have one sun. There we have three suns. Go ahead.
Right. They were saying there's a great big hole in the ozone at Australia. Is that right?
That's correct.
What you were saying?
And you can check these things out yourself. They're easily checked. That's a saying of Murdoch. Don't believe me. Check it out.
Yeah. So it's the plutonium that they dropped went in the ocean and damaged a lot of the life. And they called.
Wait a minute. The plutonium. What did that have to do with the ocean?
I mean, no. What you said when they damaged the layer with the bomb.
The ozone. Yeah, the ozone layer in the atmosphere.
Yeah. It says that part of the Pacific still was toxic from it.
Okay, you're talking about two separate things. It was the Draconians, the Umshungal leader, led by a disagreeable being called Tarnush on the planet Risk in the mighty kingdom of the Riskians in the galaxy of Elohim, which is the 19th galaxy. We're in the Milky Way, the 18th galaxy. And he let off the plutonium bomb in that atmosphere over that planet, over that world. But you're right in the sense that everything's in the same place at the same time, vibrating on different frequencies. So that Earth and Risk are in the same place. That's why you're beginning to see that you begin to see multiple or 2 and 3 suns in the skies over Earth. Because they're actually in the same place at the same time, vibrating on different frequencies like everything else. Are you following me? So when you say there'll be a new heaven and a new earth, Elohim is a way to say heaven. For those of you that's getting your heart one reactivated, your vibrations are beginning to raise up again, and you're going to start accessing the higher planes. In other words, be reintroduced or invited back into the kingdom of the Riskians and Elohim in heaven. And for those that are following the Draconian, that cause all this mischief and make all this trouble, and they still do it today, trying to block the mission and do all these ugly things in the name of the devil, they of course, will be excluded from it, and there is no more space found for them in the heavens. because hell will be their domain eternally. Is that clear?
Yeah. Can I ask question about Mother Ninti?
Yes.
Did she participate in the project with the Adamites, or?
Yes, she did.
The Adamites.
Yes, another name for her is Mamie, we called her, which is another word for mama. Well,
yeah.
Mother Ninti was actually Inky's sister, half-sister.
Right.
And she volunteered her womb in the project because when the Annunaqi cast down their tubes and refused to keep on mining for the gold, the scientists, primarily got Ariska Gale and those, they got together, Sergal and Inky was the head scientist, and Inky announced to them that he had seen such a creature on Earth that they could use as a genetic hanger to put their DNA in to create a man in their image and likeness, a Lulu Amilu, or primitive worker. Because in his travels around the planet Earth, he had crossed over Africa, like I said. You know, Inky's gold mine, he spent a lot of time in Africa and whatever, and he saw the Australopithecus, the great apes, the lairs, the chimpanzees, the Homo erectus, and he suggested that they have a 600-year project, 100 years for gathering, 400 years for genetic manipulation, and another 100 years for education. And they did work these projects in 3 laboratories called Shemti. That was on the Giza Plateau in Egypt, on the dark side of the moon, and on the planet Mars. They set up laboratories. And for people that think that that's strange and far out, look at pyramid cities on Mars, the Viking 5 mission. Pyramid cities on Mars. That's where they set up the Shemti at the laboratories. And they spent 100 years for gathering up different apes, the lairs and chimpanzees. And when they gathered the 8 women, they got a Annunaqi that was extremely intelligent, a canal builder. His name was Gastu. And he donated his Tima, his Sharu, his DNA from out of his bone marrow for the project. And they binded that Sharu with the egg of the ape woman in petri dishes. And when the culture began to grow, Mother Ninti or Mamie volunteered her womb, and they would place the culture on the side of her womb, and it would grow, and she would give birth in turn to a man or a woman. That was in the image and likeness of the Annunaqi. Now, there were many failed attempts at first, and they came out with one arm and blind and different things, but they finally perfected one that was so perfect that when they stood the man and woman up naked next to a naked Annunaqi man and woman, you couldn't tell the difference. They were identical, except that the man had a longer foreskin on the peni, and they had to, create the law of circumcision. And then now, you can't tell the Nubian men from the Annunaqi or the Nubian women from the Annunaqi. They are created in the image and likeness. The difference is that they had lost that connection that they had to the five higher senses that was surgically removed from the ones that they created in their image and likeness. And now we're here to reactivate. Let me simplify and squeeze the elephant in the thimble for you all. The reason that we returned here is to warn you about a future that's going to be very devastating that you already experienced, right? And Sky or Amanda, Amun-Rayay was talking about that in the last class. I sent a DVD out by an extraterrestrial being that was captured in Area 51, where he was talking about we should be they came back to get us to divert this nuclear holocaust that happened to them that they went through because history is repeating itself. Are you following what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then what we're here for. And also what we're here for, what we're also here for is we're searching out and trying to gather 144,000 elite brothers and sisters that have more of the Elohim DNA in them than the great apes and the lizards the dinosaurs and the reptilians, right? So that we can cut them out and separate them and educate them and re-raise them. That's why they sent teachers to try to wake them up and reactivate their higher self, and that they can be prepared to return back to the great kingdom of paradise and heaven and become immortal again and take their throne in their rightful place as heirs to eternity, right? On high. And the others be damned, right? Now, it was Enki that talked them out of destroying all life during Noah's flood, the deluge. And that's why they had the project with Noah to reseed the planet Earth after the deluge, or the deluge, however you pronounce it, right? But it's very important that we go through that book from front to back. And I say that because the white man that translated the cuneiform tablets about the story of the Annunaqi, he doesn't have a dog in the race. In other words, he hasn't got a reason to try to bend the story or lie about it at all. You follow what I'm saying? There's no motivation for him to do that. Whereas that if you get the story, for example, from Malachi or Murdoch, he may have many reasons for trying to put a twist on the story. You follow what I mean? To make himself or somebody else look good, or make somebody else look bad, or whatever. You know what I mean? But don't you think you owe it to yourself to have the actual history?
Yes.
As experienced and written by his father and by the Most High, Anu, right?
Yes.
Rather than having people on Earth's interpretation in the biblical sense and historically and man-made documents, where that they put a slant on it that benefits them. You follow me?
Yeah. I think he was a bit over ambitious, though.
He was what now?
A bit over ambitious.
Well, I don't know. He's a bit overqualified. He's a bit overqualified too, and he's a powerful being. He is the son of Anu.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I do get all that. I do get how crucial it was to get the word.
Okay, look. Let me take a second here and read the introduction to the book to you all. And then you can write down your questions as I go along, all right? So everybody has the Lost Book of Enki. Please get your books right now.
Messiah, can you read this? Can you resend that book to me?
I can send it.
Okay, do you have my email?
No, I don't. No. Hold on.
I want to warn any devils in earshot to take me very seriously when I say that there's a lot of pain headed your way. You better check yourself. You reckon yourself. And we see you. It's not an idle threat. You and everybody you care about will suffer mishap, tragedy, and pain beyond your imagination as a result of your evil tamperings. So don't think your mortal self to be slick and figuring out things and undercover and all these different things. I'm telling you, you're going to get your spine pulled out and fed to you. All right, we're in the introduction.
Where's Mother Linty now? Where is she? Can I just
They're on the wrist. Rather, they're on the Nibiru.
Okay.
and I've been on that the bureau many times myself in this lifetime. And I've had dinner with them, and let me say this: that once you're invited to risk and you eat and drink with them, then you become immortal yourself. In fact, just before class, I dozed off, and I had visions about some people who looked like Mexicans that were trying to crucify me. In fact, they did; they succeeded, but I didn't, experience any discomfort, and I was unaffected by death, and what I would do is keep coming back in a better and healthier form, and I was chasing them down, and the things that I was doing to them, you really don't want to hear.
No.
You don't want to hear.
No, I'm sure.
But they should have been putting their mind on something else instead of believing in the devil. But it's too late now. All right, the introduction. Psalm 400. Go ahead.
This is Kim Count. I don't have that book of Inky. I was asking, can you resend it to me, please?
I will resend it. But just look up on the computer on your phone right now, the Lost Book of Inky, comma, PDF, right? And you can pull it up right now. Introduction. Some 445,000 years ago, astronauts from another planet came to Earth in search of gold, mutiphones. Splashing down in one of Earth's seas, they waded ashore and established Eridu, home in the far away. In time, the initial settlement expanded to a full-fledged mission Earth, with a mission control center, a spaceport, mining operations, and even a way station on Mars. Short of manpower, the astronauts employed genetic engineering to fashion primitive workers, Homo sapiens. That's why the Bible starts off in Genesis with, "Let us create man in our image and in our likeness," because this was not a single deity, but the Elohim, those beings, a group of beings that created men and women in their image, the Adam Project. The deluge or Noah's flood, right, that catastrophically swept over the earth, required a fresh start. The astronauts became gods, granting mankind, as white folks, civilization, teaching it to worship them as deity, right? Because the biblical gods, the scriptural gods that you read about today are actually the Elohim. Then about 4,000 years ago, all that had been achieved unraveled in a nuclear calamity. That was about 4,000 years ago. All that had been achieved unraveled in a nuclear calamity. That's why you see all these overthrown cities under the water and Pumapuku and all these stone structures around the world that look like they've been smashed by a giant and thrown about like little blocks by a mad child. And one thing they know that it's just like in India where they had the Brahma weapon or the nuclear weapons that the angels fought with and they hit these big structures, that the sand is vitrified. I mean, the sand is turned to glass, and they know from previous history that it takes great heat, nuclear blast, in order to superheat the sand for it to turn to glass. They knew it was nuclear bombs that were used, all right? And the one that Amun-Rayay is talking about, the extraterrestrials that they have captured in Area 51, is just like me and all the rest of the light workers that were sent here to warn you all of an impending disaster. And now that you have Trump that took the seat, you can believe these type of things are on the way. Then about 4,000 years ago, all that had been achieved unraveled in a nuclear calamity, brought about by the visitors to Earth in the course of their own rivalries and wars. In other words, there were wars in the heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. And of course, as far as the dragon and his angels, there was no more space found for them in the heavens. What had taken place on earth, and especially the events since human history began, has been called by Zechariah Sitchin, that's the author, translator, in his The Earth Chronicles series from the Bible, clay tablets, the actual Annunaqi tablets, ancient myths, and archaeological discoveries. But what had preceded the events on earth, what had taken place on the astronaut's own planet, Nibiru, that caused the space journeys, the need for gold, and for the creation of man? What emotions, rivalries, beliefs, morals, or the lack thereof motivated the principal players in the celestial and space sagas? What were the relationships that caused the mounting tensions on Nibiru and on Earth? What tensions arose between old and young, between those that had come from Nibiru and those born on Earth? And to what extent was what had happened determined by destiny? Our destinies whose record of past events holds the key to the future? Would it not be auspicious for one of the key players, an eyewitness, and one who could distinguish between fate and destiny, to record for posterity the how and where and when and why of it all? That's Enki, right? The first things and perhaps the last things. But that is precisely what some of them did do. In other words, some of the Anunnaki wrote records. And foremost among them was the very leader who had commanded the first group of astronauts, that's Enki. Scholars and theologians alike, who's the father of Malachi. Scholars and theologians alike now recognize that the biblical tales of creation, of Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden, the deluge and the flood, the Tower of Babel, were based on text written down millennia, that's thousands of years ago, earlier in the Mesopotamia, especially by the Sumerians. And they in turn clearly stated that they obtained their knowledge of past events, many from a time before civilizations began, even before mankind came to be, from the writings of the Annunaqi, those who from heaven to earth came, the gods of antiquity. As a result of a century and a half of archaeological discoveries in the ruins of the ancient civilizations, especially in the Near East, and that's what the Iraqi war was about. They were over there trying to cover up the history, blow up these sites and steal, go into museums and steal everything. That was revealing that they were just a superficial race that were created to be slaves by the great Anunnaki, and that they were not the benefactors of Earth, and that creation didn't start 6,000 years ago like they professed, which is the reason why they said that is because that's when they were created around that. They've been on Earth about 6,000 years. You follow? But it's a foolish thought because when you go to museums and you see the bones of dinosaurs that they have carbon dated to be over 150 million years ago, and coal and diamonds, etc., and just some of these civilizations and skeletal remains like Lucy, the black sister in Africa, hundreds of thousands of years old, then you know good and well that the white man is lying, and he's trying to say that history began with his creation. Are you following me? But there are footprints from you brothers and sisters right alongside dinosaur footprints. Remember that you are not what he is. He's a Frankenstein's monster created in a laboratory, not as a result of natural selection or evolution. Now, as a result of a century and a half of archaeological discoveries, in the ruins of the ancient civilizations, especially in the Near East. A great number of such early texts have been found. The finds have also revealed the extent of missing texts, so-called lost books, which are either mentioned in discovered text or are inferred from such texts, or that are known to have existed because they were cataloged in royal or temple libraries like Alexandria and Egypt. They burned down the Alexandria library and many others to try to hide the truth. Sometimes the secrets of the gods were partly revealed in epic tales, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, that disclosed a debate among the gods that led to the decision to let mankind perish in the flood or deluge, or in a text titled Atrahasis, which recalled the mutiny of the Annunaqi, who had toiled in the gold mines to go check Michael Tallinger, Inky's gold mines in South Africa. Toiled in the gold mines that led to the creation of primitive workers, earthlings. That led to the creation of primitive workers, earthlings, the ruddy red Adamites, right? What I'm here to do is uncover the truth, take the blindfolds off, and make you all have a clear understanding of exactly what happened, what is happening, and what will happen, so you can make intelligent decisions about what course to take. From time to time, the leaders of the astronauts themselves authored compositions. From time to time, the leaders of the astronauts, these Elohim themselves, authored compositions like the one you have in your hand, sometimes dictating the text to a chosen scribe, as a text called the Epos, in which one of the two gods who had caused the nuclear calamity sought to shift the blame to his adversary. Sometimes the god acted as his own scribe, as in the case regarding the book of the secrets of Thoth, the Egyptian god of knowledge, which the god has secreted in a subterranean chamber. Now, when the Lord God Yahweh, according to the Bible, granted the commandments to his chosen people, he had first inscribed in his own hand 2 stone tablets that he gave to Moses on Mount Sinai. When Moses threw down and broke that first set of tablets in response to the golden calf incident, the replacement set was written by Moses on the tablets on both their sides when he stayed on the mount 40 days and 40 nights recording the dictated words of the Lord. Now, the Lord that was dictating the words to Moses on the mount was actually the angel Gabriel. And he stood close to a bush, and the illumination of the angel Gabriel's light was so bright that the bush appeared to be on fire, and they called that the burning bush. You follow me? Because the angel Gabriel was there, the one that comes to me and heals me, that's inside of me, and my constant companion, and was also the constant companion of Jesus and Muhammad, and he's actually the angelic being that is the one that's the teacher to come to man and give revelations to, the angel Gabriel. All right. Were it not for a tale recorded on papyrus from the time of the Egyptian king Khufu, another name for Khufu was Cheops, concerning the book of the secrets of Thoth, the existence of that book would have not become known. So you see, the wise among you will start searching out these titles and these books so you can figure out the whole thing before time gets totally beyond repair. Were it not for, in the meantime, I caution you to cease all negative activity until you find out what you're doing and what you plan with. Were it not for the biblical narratives in Exodus and Deuteronomy, we would have never known about the divine tablets and their contents. All would have become part of the enigmatic body of lost books, whose very existence would have never come to light. No less painful is the fact that in some instances, we do know that certain texts had existed, but are in the dark regarding their contents. Such is the case regarding the book of the wars of Yahweh and the book of Jasher, book of righteousness, which are specifically mentioned in the Bible. In at least 2 instances, the existence of olden books, earlier texts known to the biblical narrator, can be inferred. Chapter 5 of Genesis begins with the statement, "This is the book of the Toledoth of Adam." The term Toledoth being used translated as generations, but more accurately meaning historic or genealogical record. The other instance is in chapter 6 of Genesis, where the events concerning Noah and the deluge begin with the words, "These are the Toledoth of Noah," or the generations of Noah, right? Indeed, partial versions of a book that became known as the Book of Adam and Eve have survived over the millennia in Armenian, Slavonic, Syriac, and Ethiopic languages. And the Book of Enoch, is all the fallen angels and all that. The Book of Enoch, one of the Bible, contains segments that are considered by scholars to be fragments from a much earlier book of Noah. That's why they took out a lot of the book of Enoch out of the Bible, and there are 13 books missing out called the Apocrypha, which I have right now, the lost books, and now there are only 66 books left in the Bible, and they took those other books out like they did with places in Iraq and around to try to destroy and cover up the truth in Africa and all over the world. An off-quoted example of the extent of the lost books is that of the famed library of Alexandria in Egypt, established by the general Ptolemy after Alexander's death in 323 BC before Christ. It was said to have, that was over 2,300 and some odd years ago, longer. Books inscribed on a variety of materials, on clay, stone, papyrus, parchment. That great library, where scholars gathered to study the accumulated knowledge, was burnt down and destroyed in wars that extended from 48 before Christ BC to the Arab conquest in AD 642 after Christ. What has remained of its treasures is a translation of the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible into Greek, about the Old Testament, and fragments retained in the writings of some of the library's resident scholars, the Egyptians, of course. In other words, the wise among you will start gathering the books of the gods, of the actual Elohim Annunaqi that were cast down and wrote their own records of the events that they themselves brought about and participated in. It is only thus that we know that the second king, Ptolemy, commissioned circa 270 BC, an Egyptian priest, whom the Greeks called Manetho, to compile the history and prehistory of Egypt. At first, Manetho wrote, only the gods reigned there, then demigods, in other words, they had children by earth people, and finally, circa 31 BC, 3,100 years before Christ, over 5,000 years ago, the Pharaonic or Pharaoh's destinies began. The divine reigns, he wrote, began 10,000 years before the flood. So this outstrips the white man claim that creation began 6,000 years ago and continues for thousands of years thereafter, the latter period having witnessed battles and wars among the gods. So go and do a check, just type in historic ruins around the world and just go all over the world and under the seas and see all these overthrown cities like Sodom and Gomorrah, etc. In the Asiatic domains of Alexander, their reign fell into the hands of the general Seleucus and his successors. A similar effort to provide the Greek savants with a record of past events took place. a priest of the Babylonian god Marduk, Berusus, with access to libraries of clay tablets, whose core was the temple library of Haran, now in southeastern Turkey. And to you, Zybri, I say that Marduk hasn't come out of these things unscathed, because there is legacy that rules among what you call the deities or gods, some refer to as angels, so that you also read that Marduk was constantly punished for his deeds, locked up and incarcerated, just like he is right this second. Am I right, Zybri?
Yes, sir.
That's right. So that means that the mortals and other deities that are all being judged, including the reptilians that consider themselves hybrids or pure Annunaqi or pure reptilians, they're all going to be judged and punished, right?
Yes, sir.
That's right. So don't get it twisted. Now, whose core was the temple library of Haran, now in southeastern Turkey, wrote down in 3 volumes the history of gods and men that began 432,000 years before the flood, before the deluge, when the gods came to earth from the heavens. So you know that we landed after we migrated away from Risk on Mars first in this solar system, and 450,000 years ago we migrated from Mars to Earth, right? That's back when men were just monkeys. So that's why I say when you go to the Grand Canyon and archaeologists propel down in archaeological chairs with long ropes, and they drop down through the strata, the various layers of earth, like the rings on trees, they're actually dropping down through history. And they get to the bottom where it starts with single-cell amoeba, and they start pulling them back up, and they start taking soil samples and finding that they're, over millions of years, they're evolving into multicellular creatures and into, fish and insects, birds. And when they get all the way up to the top layer, they discovered that monkeys started in a 600-year period, started changing from monkeys to men. And instead of swinging in trees, they started building pyramids and using light amplifiers, stimulation, emission, radiation, laser beams, and levitation to create great civilizations. But if you recall, it was a 600-year project headed by Enki for the gathering of the primates to create through Mother Neti's womb the Lulu Amilu, or the primitive worker. In other words, that's what they call the missing link, where they changed the monkeys, some of them, into people. Now, how do you know this really happened? It's not mythology. Because you have people on Earth that are monkey or hunky type, right, what they're trying to hide. And then, if they, like they say, Darwin's theory of relativity is that all men evolved from monkeys, then ask yourself, why aren't all the rest of the monkeys people yet? If they didn't go out with a project and collect certain ones of the monkeys and put their DNA in them and speed up their evolution and create a race of people in their image and likeness. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it sounds amazing, doesn't it?
It is amazing, but that's what happened. I told you all when you started walking with me that the truth is more wonderful than any fantasy you could ever weave.
Yeah, this is
definitely extraordinary.
When you start dealing with the mysteries of the heavens and the earth, it is amazing. All right. Now, where we at?
Ooh, it's heavy.
Yeah. It was
Which verse is that?
When they,
Okay. In the Asiatic domains of Alexander, where rain fell into the hands of the general Seleucus and his successors, a similar effort to provide the Greek savants with a record of past events took place. You see how important it is when you talk to people to make sure they understand every word? If you read too fast or your words bump together, you're just making sound with your mouth. You're not communicating with people. A priest of the Babylonian god Marduk, Berosus, with access to libraries of clay tablets, whose core was the temple library of Haran, now in southeastern Turkey, wrote down the 3 volumes of the history of gods and men that began 432,000 years before the deluge, before the flood. That was about 450,000 years ago when they migrated from Mars, right? When the gods came to Earth from the heavens. Now, because on the planet Risk, the soil conditions are predominantly plutonium and gold, unlike on Earth where it's predominantly iron, we had blue and green skin. So they used to call us little green men on Mars. You understand? And when you do the research and look at some of the pyramids, you can see the pictures on them. The pharaohs are green and blue, like Amun-Rayay, right? And many of your baby sisters are born with these blue and green spots on their buttocks and back right now today, as a result of descending from the gods. Now, depending on how much of that DNA is in the child or in you, is whether or not you will ever qualify to re-enter the ranks of the angelic beings and be taken up before all these horrible things happen back to the heavens and only stand out there and look at the earth and watch it happening. Or if you're involved in it, in the last days, the death and terrible hell and all the things that are going to befall all of the demonic forces, right, that caused all these things in the beginning. Now in southeastern Turkey, wrote down in 3 volumes of the history of gods and men that began 432,000 years before the deluge, when the gods came to earth from the heavens, listing by name and reign durations the first 10 commanders. Berosus reported that the first leader, dressed as a fish, like Dagon, waded ashore from the sea, talking about Enki. He was the one who gave mankind civilization. That was the Adama race, Lulu Amilu, primitive worker. And his name rendered in Greek was Oannes. Dovetailing in many details, both priests thus rendered accounts of gods of heaven who had come to earth, of a time when gods alone reigned on earth, and of the catastrophic deluge. In the fragmentary bits and pieces retained in other contemporary writings from the 3 volumes, Berosus specifically reported that the existence of writings from before the Great Flood, stone tablets that were hidden for safekeeping in an ancient city called Sippar, one of the original cities established by the ancient gods. Though Sippar, as were other pre-diluvial cities of the gods, was overwhelmed and obliterated by the deluge, a reference to the pre-diluvial writings surfaced in the annals of the Assyrian king Assurbanipal, 668 to 633 years before Christ, when the archaeologists in the mid-19th century found the ancient Assyrian capital, Nineveh. Now you know that when Malachi wrote the Holy Tablets, you can see the influence of the cuneiform text by the Annunaqi all through the book. But what you don't see is where that Malachi was a demon messing up a lot of things. You don't see that in it. He didn't write that. But you do see in chapter 8, tablet 11, where the angel Michael tells him that he can't go back to Risk because of all these laws he's breaking, etc. or in chapter 11, where it speaks about them being cast down on Mount Hermon and, polluting men and women with all these evil knowledges and witchcraft and sorcery, whoredoms and things, murders and cannibalisms. Until then, known only from the Old Testament. They discovered in the ruins only from the Old Testament. They discovered in the ruins of Ashurbanipal's palace or library with the remains of some 25,000 inscribed clay tablets. An assiduous collector of olden texts, Ashurbanipal boasted in his annals, "The God of scribes has bestowed on me the gift of the knowledge of his art. I have been initiated into the secrets of writing. I can even read the intricate tablets in Sumerian. I understand the enigmatic words in the stone carvings from the days before the flood. It is now known that the Sumerian civilization had blossomed in what is now Iraq." See the Iraqi desert storm and all that? Almost a millennium before. It wasn't about oil or weapons of mass destruction. It was about all these things that are being uncovered. That the white man was running there to hide from the world. And why they trying to burn books and stop black history and all that right now, and why they elected Trump. They didn't want people to know that they are a race of demons, right? Frankenstein's monsters that just fell off the truck yesterday. Civilizations had of the Pharaonic age in Egypt, both to be followed later by the civilization of the Indus Valley and the Indian subcontinent. It is now also known that the Sumerians were the first to write down the annals and tales of gods and men, from which all other peoples, including the Hebrews, obtained the tales of creation, of Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, the deluge, the flood, right? The Tower of Babel, and of the wars and loves of the gods, as reflected in the writings and recollections of the Greeks, Hittites, Canaanites, Persians, and Indo-Europeans. As all these olden writings attest, their sources were even earlier texts, some found, many lost. I want y'all to look up the places that they uncovered in the mountains in Europe. That project, that big Goddard Tunnel, write down Goddard Tunnel, down the YouTube. Goddard Tunnel, YouTube. Believe me, you want to find out about these demons? Yeah. They're summoning up the devil there. You hear me, Trump? The volume of such early writings is staggering. Not thousands, but tens of thousands of clay tablets have been discovered in the ruins of the ancient Near East. Many deal with or record aspects of daily life, such as trade or workers' wages and nuptial contracts. Others, found mostly in palace libraries, constitute royal annals. Still others, discovered in the ruins of temple libraries or of scribal schools, constitute a group of canonized texts, a secret literature that were written down in the Sumerian language and then translated to Akkadian, the first Semitic language, and then other ancient languages. And even in those early writings, going back almost 6,000 years, references are made to lost books, text inscribed on stone tablets. Among the incredible, to say fortunate, does not fully convey the miracle, finds in the ruins of ancient cities and their libraries are clay prisms inscribed with the very information about the 10 pre-diluvial, that's before the flood, rulers and their 432,000 years total reign to which the Barusos had referred, known as the Sumerian King's List. Look up the Sumerian King's List. And on display in the Asmodean Museum, Oxford, England. Their several versions leave no doubt that their Sumerian
compilers had access to some earlier common or canonized textual material, coupled with other equally early texts discovered in various states of preservation, they strongly suggest that the original recorder of the arrival, of the Elohim, as well as preceding events, and certainly the following events, had to be one of those leaders, a key participant, an eyewitness, like Enki, right? Are you all interested enough to hear more of this information?
Sir.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
I'm trying to tell you, I want y'all to know what's really going on. That's why I was sent.
It's an overload for me.
Okay. One who had been an eyewitness to all those events, indeed a key participant in them, was the leader who had splashed down with the first group of astronauts. At that time, the epithet name was Ea, that's Enki, whose home is water. He's a reptilian, half reptile. He experienced the disappointment of having, and he's the father of Murdoch. So Murdoch, of course, has a lot of reptile heritage. He was command of Earth mission given to his half-brother and rival Enlil, Lord of the command, a humiliation little mitigated by granting him the title Enki, Lord of Earth, relegated away from the cities of the gods and their spaceport in the Eden, right? To supervise the mining of the gold in the Abzu, southeastern Africa. That's what I'm telling you. Michael Tallinger, Enki's gold mines. It was Enki, a great scientist who came across the humanoids who inhabited those parts, talking about the Australopithecus, great apes, to create the Lulu-Amilu with Mother Ninti and them. And so, when the Annunaqi, toiling in the gold mines, mutinied and said, "No more," it was he who realized that the needed manpower could be obtained by jumping the gun on evolution through genetic engineering, and thus did the Adam, literally he of the earthling, come into being as a hybrid. The Adam could not procreate. The events echoed in the Bible, in the biblical tale of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden record. The second genetic manipulation of Enki that added the extra chromosomal genes needed for sexual procreation, and when mankind proliferating did not turn out the way it had been envisioned, it was he, Enki, who defied his brother Enlil's plan to let mankind perish in the deluge. The events whose hero has been called Noah in the Bible and Zarathustra in the earlier original Sumerian text. The firstborn son of Anu, Nibiru's ruler, Ea, Enki, was well versed in his planet Nibiru and its inhabitants past. An accomplished scientist, he bequeathed the most important aspects of the advanced knowledge of the Annunaqi, especially to his two sons, Murdoch and Negasita, who as Egyptian gods were known there as Ra, that's me, and Toph, that's Malachi, respectively. But he also, I was King Tut, or Amun-Rayay, and Malachi was the recorder, Toph. But he also was instrumental in sharing with mankind certain aspects of such advanced knowledge by teaching to selected individuals the secrets of the gods. So there's a problem between the two brothers, just like it was between Cain and Abel, and Jacob and Esau, etc. In at least two instances, such initiates wrote down, as they were instructed to do, those divine teachings as mankind's heritage. One called Adapa, and probably a son of Enki by a human female, is known to have written a book titled Writings Regarding Time, one of the earliest lost books. The other called Annunaqi was in all probability the prototype of the biblical Enoch, the one who was taken up to heaven after he had entrusted to his sons the book of divine secrets, and of which a version has possibly survived in the extra biblical book of Enoch. Now I'm going to stop there right now, because it's time for those of you that have some of that genome in you to go outside, mark your place in the book, go outside. It's time for y'all to start performing miracles, because those among you that can see the stars move or move the stars are indeed of that royal bloodline of the elite that I'm here to retrieve. Those of you that can't, unfortunately, are not part of us. You're not part of the star people. All right, who's going to be the first to perform the miracle tonight? What you got in Washington, D.C., Pata? What you got out on that water right now, Katat? And Khufu in Florida.
Yes.
What do you see?
Right now.
All right. Did you ever get Will?
He didn't reply back to me.
Well, he's missing a class that will make him understand a lot of things. You understand?
I'm gonna get on him.
What you do is get this class to him right away and let him know how important it would have been to be here. I sent him a whole post. Huh?
This class is deep. I have an overload right now. Seriously.
That's right. That's okay. I love you. But you came to me because you wanted the real truth, though, right, sister?
Yeah, it's getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I know. I understand. I understand. Yeah. And I understand a lot of things that people don't think I understand. But I'm part of those Elohim. I'm one of those angelic beings. That's why I can move stars. And the ones I'm looking for are the ones that have that genome in them, the HAR1. Are you following me? That's the ones I'm here to gather. Not the niggas and mortals and peckerwoods. I'm not here for them. I'm serious. All right?
That's right.
Khufu, what do you see over the skies of Florida?
Lots of clouds, but I see some stars up there with them, though.
Well, you want to move the clouds or the stars?
Move the stars. I'm looking at one right now.
Okay, move it to the left in the name of Amun-Rayay. Move to the left in the name of Amun-Rayay.
The name of Amun-Rayay. Move left.
You don't have to repeat after me when I say it, because you've created a delay in time when I've already started. You created two timelines.
She's moving.
I see it moving. There it is.
I love you.
It's moving.
I love you. Now, let's raise up the name of Amun-Rayay.
Going up. It's moving. It's going up. Look at that.
All right. Now, go clockwise in the name of Amun-Rayay.
It's going. There it is. It's going.
Now, you see the difference? Before, when people move stars, how they were hesitant to say, I see it, or I'm looking at it. But now they want to be loud and clear because they don't want to be pointed out as a devil. They want to be let us know that they're with us now, you see? Because they understand the importance of what it is I'm doing and the reason for it now, you see? Who's going to be the next one? Okay, Annunaqi.
I see a bright
star. Come on, niggas. Huh? Okay, what are you going to do with it? I see a bright star. What are you going to do with it?
I'm going to move it in the name of Amun. I'm going to move it in the name of Amun. Move up. It's moving up. Drop down. Dropping down. Wobble a little bit. In the name of Allah, move to the right.
Wow. Finally.
Move to the right. In the name of Allah, move back to the left.
All right. Next person. Thank you, sister. That's it. Next person.
I love you.
Kim.
I love you more.
I will go, please.
Who is this? Kim?
Who's that?
What are you going to move in Florida?
I'll move a star.
All right. What about you in London right there, Ann? What are you going to move tonight? What are you going to do with the star, Kim?
I wanted to go up in the name of the Messiah, the one true Messiah.
All right.
One up.
On up.
The reason why Kim refers to me as the one and only true Messiah is because he knows what many of you don't know, that I healed him in a way that was more than miraculous. All right? Now drop down in the name of Amun-Rayay. Am I right about that, Kim?
Yeah, you're certainly 1,000% right about that.
I heard you. But those that I'll heal are the ones that's with us, not the detractors, not the undercover demons. They're going to find out that they wish they never invited me into their reality. All right, go in a circle clockwise in the name of Amun-Rayay. Or wish they never even knew my name or who I was. They're going to end up killing the ones that sent them in their pain.
Going clockwise.
That's right. One more person.
Thank you, Messiah.
I'll go more.
All right.
It's called
you can move the whole creation?
Yes, I want to move the whole creation up in the name of the Messiah.
Up it goes.
Keep going up.
One up.
Going up.
Now drop down.
That's right. Dropping down.
All creation moved to the left. Name the Messiah.
One to the left.
Now back to the right. One last person. Amunet, what do you got in Virginia? What do you see? I see you can see it.
A bright star.
Okay, what are you going to do with it?
I'm going to make it go clockwise. Name of Amun-Rayay. Go clockwise.
Moving clockwise.
One clockwise.
Just going clockwise. Stop. There it goes. Name of Amun-Rayay. Move to the right.
Going to the right.
Moving right.
She's moving. Thank you all. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I love you. I love you. And I like the way you all being clear about what you're doing and what you're seeing tonight, because you understand the significance of it. Rather than people that are quasi-negative, that don't want to tell people what they see or what they experience. Right? Know that I see you all, and I know all people by their marks, and know that I love you all. I'm simply here to reveal the truth to you so that the truthful can be saved as the others will not be. Do you understand? All right. I love you all. My name is Dieter Authority, Amun-Rayay Asa.
Love
the real
you.
Messiah. Yes.
Thank you.
I love you. I love you all.
It's looking a bit yellow.
We're looking for y'all to donate and support the mission and spread out these posts and this information to the entire world. That's your responsibility personally if you want to be part of us, the deities, the sky people. And I'm telling you, don't think that we don't know what you do and what you don't do. We know. Don't kid yourself. We are not what you are.
Tomorrow.
All right, then. I love you all. Peace.